Yes, it is 18 minutes gone past 5 on a Tuesday evening, and this is Business Hub, where we discuss everything regarding businesses that you can actually get into and how you can structure your business as well. And well, Lagos, you can join in, share your thoughts as well as we also help you chart thoughts on how you can start off any kind of business or the thing that you want to also share regarding our conversation that we'll be having today. And to be a part of Business Hub, you can come through on WhatsApp and share your thoughts. 0809 440 981 is the number to share it. However, on YouTube, yes, we are live on YouTube. Go see how we look like. Yes, I'm rocking my red shades. Mm. So yes, on YouTube, we are on youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos, and you can catch how my guest also looks like. She's actually very cute, but hey, let's not get in into all that. Well, we'll be discussing the impact of drug abuse on the future of Africa, and it is something that it is worrying. So, but my guest in the person of Dr. Fejiro Chinye Nwoko will be sharing all that insight on how, well, hopefully policies that we can put in place to make things better. And she is the MD of Nigeria's Solidarity Support Fund. I'd love to say another good evening to you and welcome to Business Hub.
Good evening, Joy. Thank you for having me. What a day, what a way to spend my evening. So chatting with you, vibrant, joy.
Thank you so much. All right, Lagos, you know how to do that, to come through and let's have your thoughts as well. So, you know, when I saw, earlier on, when I got through to the topic and I saw how it is in Africa in general, I'm not even talking about Nigeria, but the youths are delving into or just getting into drug and taking all sorts of I wouldn't say medication, because there are medication, and then there's also the use of drugs that you should, or substances generally, that they shouldn't be getting involved in. But it is, the numbers are alarming. And that is one of the reasons why we're talking about it, because we keep saying the youths are the future of, are the future generally. And it just seems like, okay, if the youths are dabbling in things that they shouldn't be, who's going to be taking care of the future? Who's going to be charting paths? In China, for instance, you have technology everywhere. And it is owing to the fact that they started out small, from the little ages of 3, 4, start inculcating it in their children. So by the time you are in secondary school, you're looking at a project that you and your group of friends are trying to achieve. And that way, hey, sometimes they say the future is China, but that's another conversation for another day. But I want to know your thoughts, basically. What are some of the key factors contributing to the rise of drug abuse among young people in Africa?
Thank you, Joy. Yes, this is a very concerning public health issue, the prevalence of it amongst young people. We know that, like you correctly said, they are the majority of the workforce. So our economic development hinges on this group of people. So it would, if anything, reduces productivity, it reduces our economic empowerment, reduces our GDP of the country, and of course, increases poverty levels across board. So it's very important seeing the debilitating effect, and because drug abuse is also has a tendency to go into a lot of addiction, and then from there on, it is very, it's more of it's a very concerning public health occurrence. So some of the factors that we've seen that is making it really widespread among young people is the mental pressure that they come under, either due to education pressure to finish with good grades, or pressure to, in fact, be finished in a course that you think would end your future that you want, or
I know,
employment
right?
pressure, either pressure to get a job or pressure to keep your job or pressure to, get promoted in the workplace. That sort of pressure is becoming something that, there was a publication sometime outside the country that talks about Goldman Sachs and how the interns were driven to the point where they had to function with additional drugs. And, so that sort of employment pressure because of the economic situation puts a lot
Right.
of young people under pressure. And then, of course, there is the pressure of poverty. Poverty alone is pressure when you cannot meet your bills,
Oh my
you know,
days.
you're under pressure. And you just sometimes want to, go away,
Papa,
go away, but not
just
permanently.
excuse yourself from that moment. But
Yes,
really,
you really
mm,
want to escape the pressure. So it's an escape. So drug abuse is now an escape from whatever that pressure is. And it is not a great escape because of the side effects. And most people that go into it at first, it may be quite innocent. It may
okay.
be as a result of a suggestion from a friend. It may be as a result
Mm-hmm.
of a way to
Coping
cope with it.
mezzanine.
So you have jam coming up, you have WAEC coming up, and you just feel like, or you have exams and undergraduate coming up, and you just feel like, okay, I need some form of brain enhancement drugs. I don't want to fall asleep, and all that. And it innocently starts, or sometimes it's even pain. Some people have maybe fracture or something,
Right.
healing, they've had surgery or they've had something that is causing them pain, even sickle cell anemia. And they started off with prescription pain drugs. And then it goes to a point where you just keep increasing the dosage because of the way you feel when you take a drug. And then you go into drug abuse and addiction. So there are also sometimes starts innocently, but other times before you know it, it's gone out of hand. So there are all sort of societal pressure. Then parents, family, community putting you on that sort of pressure, and also the pressure of sometimes being in a relationship. As silly as that sounds,
Oh my
being in
goodness.
a relationship with someone and the person is into drugs, and to be able to keep
Oh,
that
okay.
relationship, you have to do it together. You can't be doing it and you're watching. It will sound judgmental. So you know
Okay.
it's wrong, but you just feel like,
Because
okay,
you're
to
trying to win him or her over.
win him or her over. Sometimes it's a pair of friends. So, to belong to that friendship, there's a certain lifestyle. We know what is happening in New York right now with PDD. There's not this, there's not this. But sometimes in able to move in
Okay.
your career and a certain career path and join the certain A-list sort of people, you may get
Right.
yourself into something that is not normally yours. And drug abuse includes alcoholism. So
Oh,
it's not
yes, there's that.
taking, cocaine includes alcoholism. So all of this sort of pressure, peer pressure, economic pressure,
Mm-hmm.
mental pressure, also health problems, like I said, pain from some sort of health illness, or all this pressure can
It
lead.
mounts up.
Yes, it adds up to this. And also sometimes it's also influence. So if you grew up in a society where this was the daily bread, so you see videos, YouTube videos of a baby drinking beer, but because probably it's the family they grew up, it's the society they grew up with. So again, culture where you grew up, if these things are prevalent, you feel like it's like drinking Coke. It's like taking Coke or Fanta, and for you, it's like, okay, that's the way of life. And, you just innocently enter. So this sort of societal and personal pressures can lead one into an
Trigger
addiction.
that. Man, just thinking about all the things that you've lined up, societal pressure, all the, there's so many sides to it, too many coins that too many sides of the coin that you're just, hitting on, and my head is in different places as we speak. But if we have to talk about the pressures, right? I know you spoke about how it can also affect a person. My main question really that I'm trying to get at is, how does that now affect the person's productivity? Because if you are someone who's usually active, I've heard in some spaces where they say this certain mood enhancers. I'm not going to mention anything, but they will tell you there are certain things that they take, boosts their mood, helps them focus. You would hear how some A-list, yeah, uh, artists say that without taking some kind of enhancements, they don't get to be able to perform. So it now makes, and worse, they even put it out there for the public to see in their videos, or basically even on the stage where everyone can see. So how does that affect productivity, and more so the economic potential of it affecting Africa's youth in general?
What you said is really very true. Positive. At first, it enhances productivity. It can, depending on the substance we're talking about, so there are different types of drugs, right? So at first, it may enhance I wouldn't call it, it may enhance cognitive functions. So you're able to focus, you're able to do a lot of things. It's like there is an adrenaline rush. And that's why for athletes, they usually test them even before
regularly
the pitch, because they don't want them, running on some sort of drugs. So at first it may enhance, and it's for the kind of drug, it can enhance productivity. But then it's now gets to a peak period. So it's what we call that a point where it is not, that dosage doesn't produce the same effects. So somehow the effect plateaus. So it gets to a peak point where there is that's dosage. So if it's, for example, a painkiller, you can't get that relief you're getting at maybe 1 tablet or 2 tablets anymore.
You're now upping it to 4 or 5.
Yes, you have to up it, because it has gotten to more like your body is becoming resistant to that drug and at that dosage. So it gets to a peak period where it's not giving you the additional benefit. And what you're looking for is that additional benefit, because ordinarily you can focus to a degree. Ordinarily you can be productive to a degree. You can do if you're in finance, you can calculate. You can do it by yourself, but you just want an enhancement because you're under pressure, right? So you get to a point where it plateaus, where you cannot get that on that dosage. So you have to up the dosage. And then you keep upping the dosage until it becomes detriment to your health, because you know that every drug has to be excreted. It has to be metabolized. It has to be synthesized by the body. So the liver, every drug has to go through the liver, and then it goes
overworking your liver.
Through the kidney or through the skin. It has to go out of the body. That is
somewhere.
That's the way we are made, because if you keep it in your system, it is toxic, right? So you get to a point where you're taking a dosage that is too much, and then you are overworking your organs in your body. That's the first. Because you're overworking your organs. So you begin to damage your liver, begin to damage your kidney. So
your kidney as well.
Alcoholics, they have this alcoholic liver or liver cirrhosis. They come down with that easily. You've overworked your liver. So there's a health implication. But secondly, which is more detrimental, is that within a short time, you need that drug again. So the span of time, so it's something you take once a day, you now need it twice a day, because again, I said you are maxing out the effect. But more than that is that without it, you can't even function normally. The normal self that you function, your productivity dips low, because there is the high and then there is the low. When the drug starts winning in your body, you then dip so low that you become restless. So at work, in terms of productivity, you find out that those people become easily irritable. They get agitated easily. That's some of the signs of someone that is hooked on a drug. They get
I like to pause your thoughts at this point in time, and then we'll come back. Let's take this quick breather. On the other side, we will actually talk about all of those effects that is happening right now, and more so, we'll talk about how it's affecting education as well, because hey, even in schools, you find those things. I'm not talking about tertiary education right now. I'm not talking about that space. You find it even in secondary school. I don't know if it has trickled down to primary school just yet, but we'll talk about that and so much more. So Lagos, come through on WhatsApp. The number is 0809400981. However, you can also, just drop your thoughts on the conversation we're talking about, which is the impact of drug abuse on the future of Africa.
What if we told you that you could bank your way
just
to
a
millions?
minute and we're back in.
You heard that right. Introducing Lotus Bank's Bank Your Way to Millions promo, where you stand a chance to win big by simply referring others to open a Lotus Bank account.
I really hope for our sake that it hasn't trickled to primary schools just yet. But I know that in secondary school, kids are...
It has, especially in some parts of the country. The northern part of the country has
high
months. What are you waiting
for? That's worrying.
The closer you get to winning,
because we're supposed to be, as I say, teaching this ones the right things to do, helping them chart the right course. But if we're also contributing to them getting so addicted to this thing, then that's a problem. All right, let's get back in. All right, it is 34 minutes gone past 5 on Business Hub on Smooth 98.1. And today on Business Hub, we're talking about the impact of drug abuse on the future of Africa. And my guest this evening is in the person of Dr. Fejiro Chinye Nwoko. And she is the MD of Nigeriaa Solidarity Support Fund. And indeed, she's been sharing insights on how drug abuse is actually affecting, the youth these days. And a lot of questions just keep popping up. How is it that they have this? How is it that it's easily accessible is one of the questions I'm still trying to grapple as well, because I don't know, growing up back then, you could not see these things, even with certain ads that were maybe for the cigarette companies. There, you would always have a caveat at the end of those, ads telling you, oh, so and so will happen to you. But now we don't even have those ads popping up any longer. So how is it that these kids are getting? How do they even know what this medication or this drugs do to their system? Is it that they just I know you said peer pressure, or even friends would tell them, oh, take this one, it will get you to this point. I've also heard about parties where you have them in, everybody tells their friends, okay, bring whatever pills are in your home, and then they just dump it into some big plate, and everybody just dips, and it's a different euphoria that they get. But I'll let you speak to that, because it's also affecting the productivity as well as education of not just Nigerians, but Africans in general.
Yeah. So there is the supply side of every public health challenge, which is the regulation in this case. And drugs are highly regulated, that you can only get maybe in the hospital, globally. But we know how the pharmaceutical is in Nigeria, where you can go into a pharmacy and get anti-malarials, you can go there and get antibiotics, you can go there
I'm guilty about that one.
So we do a lot of over-the-counter drugs in Nigeria. And that is one of the main reasons why these drugs are easily accessible. I know there was a time where they began to restrict certain drugs, and certain drugs are restricted in Nigeria, but not all class of drugs that can be abused are restricted in Nigeria. And so that makes it, and then we're not tracking. So I had a colleague recently who said that, he traveled out of the country and wanted to buy an over-the-counter medication outside the country. And it's a medication that he would normally buy a lot, so like an anti-allergy, because he's coming back to Nigeria, just so that he has it. And because he had just bought, by the time he went, the pharmacist said they couldn't give him more.
He hadn't finished.
Number. And he went to another pharmacy and they said, oh, they saw in the system that he just bought from, and they told him the place he bought, and it was not linked. It was not like it was the same brand of pharmacy. Why? Because they're tracking this. So that if you buy medication in an excess, they're able to say, okay, this person is not doing something right. Even for the over-the-counter, as simple as anti-allergies, which are over-the-counter.
Something else, yes.
Yes, but they also track it for users. So he couldn't buy a certain number that he wanted to travel back with. So that is regulation. And you know, this is not, we're not trying to bring out all the problems here, but this is one of the main issue that is readily available. So anybody at any time can access these drugs and use it in a way, and then we're not tracking it. So data is not tracking. We're not even tracking the overall sales of a particular drug in a particular location, even if we're not tracking it per individual use. If a drug is overly sold, if we're not even tracking what's our antibiotic use in 4 years ago versus what is it now, to even let's even know whether this drug is becoming excessively abused. You know, we are not using data to inform decisions. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason why it's becoming too prevalent is also because influencers, when social media age, if I'm an influencer, I'll influence maybe, and a good influencer, I have 20 million followers. What I do now would convince has a potential of convincing 20 million people that it's the right behavior. Unlike when there was no social media, where it's just the people around me that would see my behavior. And these social media influencers are becoming idols. That people, especially the young children, I know you were concerned about primary school age, they have idols now, and these idols, whatever they do, seem like the gold standard.
I know, right?
Also tell them how they use it, where they get it from, and how to get it, and how to even sneak it so that your parents are not aware, or stuff like that. So
talking about that, right? I have a WhatsApp message here from Ade, and he says, he's just buttressing what he's just said, right? He says most parents are oblivious of how close drug use is close to them. They live in denial that their children are involved. Children these days have mastered the act of dual personality. Regular spontaneous drug tests can actually help discover the moves. And I know that in schools abroad, I don't want us to actually focus on them, but that's one of the things they actually do. They make sure that they, you know, just random tests. Yes. And they'll tell you, pee in this cup, and you're not, you wouldn't even believe how much those ones are getting different kinds of medication that they shouldn't even have access to. Yeah, so yeah, that's a thing. Yes. I don't know if it's something that can work here though, but hey, we never know until we try.
It can work, especially if the regulation, or either the school regulation wants to do it, either private or public, Ministry of Education, if they want to do a campaign, or just say, even if you run it for 1 month, again, is the burden of those. They will talk about the financial implications. Implication for the financial burden for treatment of drug abuse, which we have not gotten to, is a lot on the country. And that's why we're losing a lot a lot of youth to drug abuse, because you can count how many rehabilitation centers we have in Nigeria that is functional.
I know, right?
And rehabilitation is a long process. It's a long-term admission process. Sometimes the patient may stay 3 to 6 months, and they have to pay for the admission. Can they afford them? That's
another thing.
Can the country afford that? It's also, so most times you're left to managing, parents or people are just left, families are left to managing it the best way you can manage it, you know, out of pocket spend now comes in. So there's sort of ripple effect. And really, the way to do this is to prevent it more than to treat it. The way to prevent, to keep this youth, to save our young people, our productive age group, it's actually because cure is long, and remitting back into the addiction is very high.
I agree with you on that one.
It takes a lot. The relapse rate is very high. Over the world is over 90% relapse rate. Now some countries are even giving drugs in controlled doses rather than people curing it, because they found out that curing it is a very long. We know that that is also that is also debilitating to the people, because we know that they max out on that control. There's nothing like controlled rates. So it's just a beautiful way of saying we have not found the solution to this. So what
But
is
we're
then,
just trying to manage it.
exactly, we then have to focus on prevention, at least preventing the younger people that, or the people that have not even gotten into this habit. And first is awareness. People don't know that drug abuse can start with Panadol or paracetamol. You know,
Yeah,
people don't
first of all.
understand that drug abuse can start with just taking cough syrup. You know, people don't know that as little as that. There was a time, you know, there was this drug, a mixture of paracetamol and codeine that was prevalent at the time. You know, I even took it because I had this severe pain, and my doctor put me on it. And after, you know, when you take it, you just feel good. You feel like life is good. And after the first time, I said, you know what, I don't need this drug. I'm just going to take my paracetamol because life is not this good. Why am I feeling like life is this good? I had to stop myself.
So even you, who's in the medical sector, had to, you know, call. Right.
Same thing with when I had a CS, you know, I had to, they gave me very high painkillers. I had to temper myself and said, no, you know what, I'm going to take the
lower versions.
lower version, because I don't want to get, so people don't understand how, like I said, sometimes it starts
very
so
easy.
Yeah. That, okay, you may take cough syrup for an actual cough, and you find out that you are able to sleep, and then you start taking it every night because you need to sleep very well. And then, you know, you start taking it when you just want to escape, you know, pressure, you know, and then it goes to stress. So first is really teaching people what it's about, that is not only tie your hand and put an injection and take, you know, an IV drug by yourself and collapse. That's not only when it is drug. So first is that, then it's also factors. So if people are becoming easily influenced on social media, then we have to use social media to influence them to positive actions. So then is that, how are we using, and that's why what you're doing is so fantastic, because you're using the power of your influencing to raise awareness for this. How do we now raise awareness to both the victims and then the family of the victims, which usually are ignorant of it when it starts, and then they
don't even know.
Gotten to a very, when it begins to affect mental, cognitive functions, and then they start all sort of psychotic outbreak, and
that's
then
when you now start hearing, oh, okay, it's like something they've been using.
But usually that is already getting really late. So it would have been best to notice it from day one.
From the onset.
Why are you not eating? Why are you sleeping too much? Why you know, why are you reading for long hours? You know, why you know,
what exactly is happening to you?
These are some of the ways that you can detect it early. And then what are the ways that they are getting it? You know, what are the ways that sometimes I heard is in pizza, you know, sometimes I heard.
Oh my days.
So what are the ways they're getting it, and how can we then also go through those same channels and sort of gatekeep those channels to make sure that these things are not, you know, we can do a lot more than we are doing now, especially as a country, is my point, to prevent this, because cure is really, really, really
a long way to come.
Financial burden on our very small fiscal space budget in this country, that we're always talking about budget in insufficiency. So we can't deal on cure.
As much as I'd love us to keep going, well, our time is well spent. Ade says statistics are not doing justice to the drug pandemic in Nigeria. I agree with you on that one. But Mike, before I let you go, I'm hoping that we'll have another conversation along this line. How can people reach out to you, say they, you know, on your social media handles, the X, or as they like to say, Twitter or X, yeah, LinkedIn? What platforms can we reach out to you if they have further questions and want to get into that conversation?
Thank you. Something that, you know, we are doing as NSSF, Nigeriaa Solidarity Support Fund, to help raise awareness for this and to advocate for a reduction in the prevalence of this is that we launched a contest this year, this month of October. It's called the We Niger contest. And on our page, you can go to www.nigeriaasolidaritysupportfund.ng. I say again, three W's, yes. The Nigeriaa Solidarity Fund.ng, and you will see all about the contest. It would be great that if you're a Nigerian youth between the ages of 15 to 35, join the contest. There's so many prizes to be won, you know, up to, I think, up to 6 million naira prizes to be won. What we really want is that our voice alone shouldn't count. Your voice should count. So we're doing a contest where you just put in 2 minutes video on the drug abuse situation in your community, how it is affecting the young people, and how the young people are being influenced into it. Just put a 2 minutes video and you stand the chance of winning that. And then we have a youth fest in November 23rd, which you can also register to join and come on board. There we also have, of course, you can ask any questions you have at our website, and we would immediately answer your questions. If you are in a community where drug abuse is ravaging your community, especially we've heard about some communities in some part of the country. If you're in those communities, reach out to us on our website. We would then come there and do more physical advocacy at your community. And we would also advocate to the governments, which are going to be part of this contest, to say that it's something that has to be done with regulation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure that Lagos, they're listening and they will reach out eventually. So I'd like to say a very big thank you, Dr. Fejiro Chinye, for all that insight this evening. Looking forward to having further conversations on the other side. But Lagos, thank you so much for joining in on Business Hub this evening. As always, there's so much more lined up for your listening pleasure. So don't go nowhere. Stay tuned to Smooth 98.1.
In association, Notice Bank.